and welcome back. I have a tripod. It's a cheap one, but it works well. I just don't know where to look. I'm not used to this. I can only put it in sideways, my phone, not vertically. So it's like I have to look at one side or the other, and it's confusing, but whatever. You know, today I am making homemade tomato soup. I do not like tomato soup from a can, and my entire life I've pretty much made myself believe that I didn't like tomato soup, but I actually do. I just prefer the homemade. I have some oil in the bottom of a pan here that I let warm up a little bit, and I added about half of a large onion. I didn't really measure it. Some tiny bits of carrots that I did not cut up on camera because I didn't want to make anybody suffer through that. And I have a little bit of yellow pepper in here as well, just because it was mixed with my onion, and I just popped it all in the pan. Oh, dropping stuff. You're gonna let this saute for about 5 to 10 minutes until your veggies get a little bit tender. They won't be completely cooked and they become translucent. And then I'm gonna add some fresh garlic to it. It does require chicken broth or chicken stock, but I have this veggie broth that I had made homemade that was in my freezer. It's still frozen. I might need to run it under some hot water before I use it, but I'm gonna use that instead of chicken base this time because I had it on hand. I actually have chicken bone broth in the freezer as well, but this has been in my freezer longer, so I'm gonna use this first. All right, I'm back. I keep dropping my veggies. It's a little bit brown because I was cutting up other things and I wasn't paying attention. I didn't stir it. They're not burnt, but they're a little bit toastier than the others. It's been about 6 to 8 minutes. I'm going to add my garlic. I didn't add the garlic before. I think the instructions said to add it with the rest, but I didn't want my garlic to be burnt. Much like my onions and stuff that I got a little toasty. It smells so good already. I have an entire thing of minced garlic in my fridge, but there's really nothing better than fresh garlic. It doesn't even smell the same when you cook it. Next step, I'm sorry, I'm trying to read my thing. It calls for 1.5 tablespoons of tomato paste. This doesn't have to be exact. Actually, I don't even think I'm going to measure it. I'm just going to plop it in there. Can you really have too much tomatoey paste and all that? I doubt it. I don't know. Why dirty a measuring spoon? It says to get it a little bit brown and caramelized, and it said you'll know because you'll be able to smell the tomato. Let's trust the recipe, I guess. I don't know. I have made this before, but I don't know if it was this exact recipe. This one seems a little bit different, but I'm sure it's still going to be delicious. I think I'm probably at the end going to blend it up a little bit with my immersion blender and kind of thin it out and make it a little bit more creamy instead of chunky. It smells really good. It does call for a tablespoon of flour, which I did measure out. Said add the flour, stir it for a couple of minutes, probably cook the flour up so it doesn't have that floury taste. Nobody wants to taste flour when they're eating their soup. I hope this is good because I haven't eaten anything today and it's after 2 o'clock. And This is going to be my breakfast / lunch, so I'm hoping it's really delicious. Let's be real, everything I cook is delicious. Just kidding. Okay, I'm back. I've added the flour, the garlic, the veggies, and the paste to some oil. And it does call for a 28-ounce can of tomatoes. I'm using the more expensive tomatoes this time. Normally I buy the great value ones that cost, I don't know, 60 cents. But that's usually because I add it with a bunch of other stuff and it's not the main flavor, but this is tomato soup and I want it to taste good, so I splurged. And when I say splurged, I think these are very expensive. I think I bought 2 cans and I spent nearly $7 on just tomatoes. So these are not tomatoes I would purchase very often, but I also don't make tomato soup that often either. They are better, but again, use any tomato you want. It just calls for 28 ounces of tomatoes. And I paid a lot, so I gotta get all the saucy stuff out, right? Don't waste any. It does say to hand break the tomatoes. They're really soft already, so it's really not that much effort involved. I kind of thought I would need my trusty little meat crusher. I don't know what this is called. I think I got it for $1 at the Dollar Tree. It works really well to break up ground beef and ground turkey, but I don't really think I need it for this. They break up very easily. I'm probably not going to break them up super fine because, like I said, I think I'm going to use my little mixer thing, my blender thing, when it's all said and done. So they'll get fully crushed up at that point. Unless you like chunky soup, you can leave it like this. It doesn't matter. It's your soup. Make it however you want. This is where you add in your seasonings and your broth. And I know my broth is not defrosted because I did not plan this. I originally intended to use the chicken base, and obviously I wouldn't need to unthaw anything at that point. But I was going through the freezer and I saw this and I thought I'm going to use it. So I'm probably just going to add it. It'll melt down on its own in a few minutes. I'm going to add 2 bay leaves. It calls for 1, but I'm adding 2. It calls for thyme, but I don't have thyme. I have Italian seasoning. So I'm just going to add a little bit of thyme or Italian seasoning to it. Actually, I think that's all I'm going to add. Italian seasoning is not my absolute favorite. I like it, but I don't like a ton of it. I have dried basil leaves. I think fresh would be better, but I don't have any. And I'm not sure if it even calls for basil, to be honest with you. I will link the original recipe below like I always do because, you know, that's how I do things. I just add whatever the heck I want. Let's be real. It does not call for crushed pepper, but I'm going to add some crushed pepper anyway because I like it. So that's really all it calls for. It does call for cream and it says it's optional, and it doesn't even specify how much. So that's probably just a personal preference. I don't know if I'm going to add any. I have some. I don't know if I'm going to add any at the end or not. That's just going to add calories to it, but it might give it a nice creamy texture. What else was I going to say? I was going to say something. Oh, this recipe doesn't call for Parmesan cheese either. I made one last year, and like I said, I've only made tomato soup a couple of times, but I don't know where the exact recipe is that I used last time, because my Pinterest board is ridiculous. I have like thousands of pins, like I'm actually going to make all that stuff. I have this vision in my head that I'm going to, and it's out of hand. I have made a lot of things from Pinterest, but not thousands. And I don't know where that original recipe was from last year. But this one does not call for Parmesan cheese, but I may add some to it. I think it'll give it a nice extra flavor. But I may add it to each individual serving as I eat it rather than the whole pot, because I'm probably going to be the only one that eats it anyway. But the original recipe does not call for cheese. And at this point, I think you let it simmer on like medium for 30 minutes. Obviously, I'm going to cover it because anything with tomatoes in it and broth seems to splatter all over the place. But I am going to taste the broth because I don't know if I need to add anything at this point. Excuse me. I think I inhaled a pepper flake. That's what happens when you add pepper flakes. It needs a little bit of salt, I think, but I'm also very weird with salt. I add salt to like everything, and I know many people do not, and it's not really it's not even listed in the recipe to add any salt or pepper, I don't think. But I may add a little bit of salt to it, but like I said, you don't have to. Okay, I am back. It simmered on the stove for 30 minutes. I did set my timer. I guess really simmering it longer is not going to hurt. But having to turn the stove off because I didn't want it to like cook forever. And now it's almost 3:45. I have yet to eat today. And it's actually, I can touch the pan. It's still really warm, but it's not super hot. But I'm going to use my little blender here, my little hand blender. And it is safe to use in the pan. I would never do this otherwise, but the blade is like up in there, so it's actually pretty good. I think I'm going to leave it like that. I don't think I'm going to blend it up anymore. But if you wanted it to be completely smooth without any tiny chunks at all, then definitely continue to blend. I'm going to taste it. I did add a little bit of salt to it before. I didn't do that on camera. It tastes really good. I don't think I'm going to add any cream to it. I'm going to save the calories from the cream. You can certainly add it if you want, but I do think I'm going to add Parmesan cheese to my serving. It would be really good if you had actual chunk of Parmesan cheese and you put the rind in here to like cook with it. I've never actually had a rind of Parmesan cheese, so how do I know that it's any good? I have no idea. I just think it would be. My store, we don't have any stores around here that even sell that, I don't think, but I think that would be really, give it a lot more flavor if you cooked it that way. Okay, I don't know where to look. It's so confusing. I just have this grated Parmesan cheese. You can use the stuff that you get in the shaker thing too if you wanted, but this is just like a slight step up from the shaker, kind of in my opinion. It's not like super high quality. It's not overly expensive at the store. I'm gonna mix it in there. See, now this is good if you had like grilled cheese or whatever, even without grilled cheese, but this is so much better than canned stuff. I know a lot of people like canned bowls, but it's gross. It doesn't even look appealing to me, and I'm not overly picky with a lot of things, but I don't like canned tomato soup. This is really good. And you can tell that the tomatoes are a little bit higher quality. Carrot doesn't like make it taste weird or anything. I didn't really think that the carrot would make it taste weird, but I guess I've never made it with carrot before. But it's just extra veggies. You could probably put like zucchini in it or something too. Zucchini's not super, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not super, it has flavor, but it's not overly flavorful. And if you wanted to add and blend it just to get more veggies, I don't think you would taste it that much. But yeah, I hope you make it, and please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks.